I worked the front desk at a hotel in Amsterdam. An American couple checked in and asked where they could park their car for free. I explained our parking garage costs 20 euros per night. The husband looked confused. But we're hotel guests. I nodded. Yes, parking is separate. He insisted that in America, hotel parking is always included. I told him this was Amsterdam, space costs money. He said, but we already paid for the room. His wife added, this feels like a scam. I showed them our website where parking fees were listed. He squinted at it and said, that should be in bigger font. They paid, but left a note at checkout saying European hotels. Nickel and dime, everything. There. Parking spot was bigger than most Amsterdam apartments. A woman at a cafe in Paris asked if we had regular coffee. I offered espresso, cafe creme, Americano. She said, no, just regular coffee. You know, in a big cup. I explained we don't do bottomless filter coffee. She stared at me. So I have to pay each time I want more? I nodded. She asked how people survive without free refills. I didn't have an answer that would satisfy her. The confusion goes both ways. But Americans bring a special confidence to being wrong. Here's what I mean. If you're the kind of viewer who values cultural clarity over loud certainty, this channel is where you stay ahead of the noise. I break these patterns down every week. Subscribers get the full picture, not just the punchline easy bartend in Tokyo. An American man finished his whiskey and left a $10 bill on the counter. I tried to return it. He pushed it back. That's your tip, I explained. We don't accept tips in Japan. He smiled like I was being modest. Come on, you earned it. I insisted it was against policy. He stood up and raised his voice. I'm trying to be nice. Other customers stared. I called my manager. My manager bowed and tried to return the money. The American wouldn't take it. He said, in America, we reward good service. My manager said, in Japan, good service is expected. The man looked offended. So you're saying Japanese workers don't deserve extra money? My manager explained that our wages reflect the service we provide. The American shook his head. This is why your economy is struggling. He left the money on the bar and walked out. My manager had to process it as abandoned property. The American posted on social media that Japan has no tipping culture because they don't value hard work. Got 300 likes. I work at a pharmacy in Oslo. An American woman asked for a thermometer. I sold her one. She returned 30 minutes later, furious. This is broken. It says my son has a fever of 39. Explained that's 39 Celsius. She stared at me. We need it in real degrees. Out. I told her to multiply by 1.8 and add 32. She demanded I do the conversion. I calculated. About 102 Fahrenheit. She gasped. Why didn't the box say that? I explained the box was in Norwegian, for Norwegians who use Celsius. She said Americans are a huge market and we should include both. I told her most of the world uses Celsius. She snapped. Most of the world is wrong. She wanted to return the thermometer. I said no refunds on opened medical items. She asked for the corporate number. I explained, we're an independent pharmacy. She threatened to report us to the International Pharmacy Board. I have no idea what that is. She left, then posted a review warning Americans that Norway refuses to use standard measurements. 3 people commented that Celsius is the standard. I manage a restaurant in Berlin. An American asked for water. I brought sparkling. He said, no regular water. Offered still water. He said, tap water. I explained, we charge for bottled water. He looked stunned. You charge for water? I nodded. He said in America, water is free with every meal. I told him this was Germany. He argued that water is a human right. I agreed, but said restaurants aren't obligated to provide it for free. He called it unethical. His wife asked how much. I said 3 euros. He laughed. For water? I explained. It comes in a glass bottle, filtered, chilled. He said, a bottle of water costs more than a beer here. That's insane. I shrugged. He asked if he could drink from the bathroom sink. I said technically yes, but I wouldn't recommend it for dining. He got up, filled his beer glass with tap water from the restroom, and brought it back to the table. He raised it like a toast. Capitalism loses again. His wife looked mortified. I let it go because I was too tired to argue. I'm a pharmacist in Copenhagen. An American man handed me a prescription from his US doctor. I explained I couldn't fill it, he needed a Danish prescription. He insisted prescriptions are international documents. I told him they're not. He said his doctor had a medical degree, so it should count everywhere. I explained that different countries have different regulations. He asked to speak to my supervisor. My supervisor repeated what I said. He demanded to know why Denmark doesn't recognize American doctors. I clarified that we do recognize them, but they can't prescribe medication here. He said, "This is discrimination." I suggested he visit a Danish doctor. He refused. I already have a doctor. Showed me his phone with WebMD pulled up. It says I can take this anywhere. Explained WebMD isn't a medical authority in Denmark. He said it's a .com, that means it's official. I stared at him. He asked if we accept medical freedom laws. I said no such thing exists here. He left, then posted that Denmark has socialized medicine that rejects American healthcare. Someone corrected him in the comments, explaining that's literally how sovereignty works. I work at a deli in Amsterdam. An American asked for half a pound of cheese. I asked how many grams. He repeated, half a pound. I explained we use grams. He sighed, frustrated. How many grams is half a pound? I said about 225. He said, why can't you just use pounds? I told him the Netherlands uses metric. He insisted pounds are easier. I disagreed. He said everyone knows what a pound is. I said not here. He asked why Europe refuses to modernize. I explained the metric system is the modern standard. He scoffed. America landed on the moon using feet and inches. These moments look funny on the surface, but the patterns underneath, they're what I track full-time. If you want the kind of insight most people completely miss, subscribing ensures you never lose access to it. I didn't argue. He asked for a quarter pound instead. I gave him 110 grams. He looked at the package and said it seems small. I assured him it was correct. He waited on our scale, then pulled out his phone to verify the conversion. He did the math wrong and accused me of shorting him. I showed him the scale. He said, metric is designed to confuse people. He bought it anyway, but muttered the whole time about how imperial is more intuitive. I've never met anyone confused by multiples of 10. I waitress in Stockholm. An American ordered cheesecake. I brought Swedish cheesecake, which is more like a tart. He stared at it. This isn't cheesecake. I said it was. He shook his head. Cheesecake is thick and creamy. This is flat, explained its Swedish style. He said, but the menu says cheesecake. I nodded. He insisted we were lying. This is just pie. I told him it's made with cheese, so it's cheesecake. He said it doesn't count if it's not New York style. I asked if he wanted something else. He demanded to know why we called it cheesecake if it wasn't real cheesecake. I said it is real, just different. He accused the restaurant of false advertising. He took a bite, then admitted it tasted good but said we should rename it. Call it Swedish cheese pie, be honest. I told him the name was fine. He left a review saying, our cheesecake was a scam, but tasted okay for a tart. He gave us 3 stars. I teach English in Buenos Aires. An American student asked why Argentines call themselves American. I explained that Argentina is in South America, so technically they are American. He shook his head. No, American means from the United States. Told him people from the Americas are all Americans. He disagreed. If someone says they're American, everyone knows they mean the US. I asked who everyone was. He said, the world. I told him Argentines don't agree. He insisted it was common sense. I explained that in Spanish. Americano refers to anyone from the Americas, and people from the US are called estadounidenses. He said that was too long and impractical. I suggested that maybe the US didn't have a monopoly on the term. He said, we kinda do though. We made it famous. I asked how. He said, movies, culture, the flag on the moon. Pointed out that the moon landing didn't make the US the sole owners of the word American. He said, "But we're the most important America." Another student from Chile laughed out loud. The American asked what was funny. The Chilean said, "Nothing, gringo." The American asked what gringo meant. I told him it's a term for foreigners, often Americans. He smiled. "See? Even your slang proves my point." The funniest part of cross-cultural confusion isn't the misunderstanding, it's the confidence. Americans don't just stumble into these moments. They arrive fully convinced they're right, armed with logic that makes sense only within a 500-mile radius of where they were born. And honestly, it's kind of endearing. The world is huge and complicated, and somewhere in Minnesota, someone is absolutely certain they figured it out. Next time, the things tourists say that make locals question reality. You won't believe what someone asked me about the Eiffel Tower.